So I thought I'd share a pretty crazy experience that I had that brought a really huge change in my life. And some of you might know that I've had 5 surgeries on my knee, hence the huge scars on my knee. And the first surgery that I had was to correct a patellar dislocation issue. So my kneecap would dislocate. It happened during like football, hockey, soccer, pretty much any sport, and it even like just affect my normal daily life. Getting out of bed once, I dislocated my kneecap, so they cut the tissue on the side of my knee, tightened it, and then they cut the shin bone, shifted it to the inside, and then screwed it down. It was all well and good, the rehab and everything, it was going fine, and then 4 months after that surgery, I got an E. coli infection in that knee, which required 2 other surgeries to flush out the infected fluid, and the strain of E. coli that was in my knee, it was very antibiotic resistant, and antibiotics just weren't fucking doing anything, and the infectious disease doctor was actually planning to just totally cut my leg off if the antibiotics weren't working, and he ended up just putting me on 3 or 4 different antibiotics at once, and that ended up working. The E. coli infection went away eventually, but while I was in the hospital, after I had my knee flushed out with sterile fluid for the second time, I was just in an insane amount of pain. It was just undescribable, more pain than I've ever been in my entire life, and I was on the highest dose of morphine they could possibly put me on. I was still in a tremendous amount of pain, and I asked the nurse, like, I'm just fucking dying here, like, I can't stand it, and the nurse gave me, I think, 2 pills of Percocet, and I was still in an insane amount of pain. Morphine, Percocets, and I was still high as fuck from the opiates from going under for surgery to flush the infected fluid out of my knee. And then I guess the nurses changed shifts and didn't tell the other nurse whether or not they gave me any medication or drugs. And then I said to the next nurse, like, I'm in an insane amount of fucking pain. Can you, like, give me anything extra for the pain? That nurse gave me, I think, 2 pills of fucking OxyContin. So I'm just out of my fucking mind on opiates. I had surgery 2 days in a row, and I was put under for that, and so I was fucked up from the opiates to put me under for surgery. I was on the highest dose of morphine possible, plus I had Percocet and OxyContin in my system. And this is where things got interesting. After taking those opiates, I felt like I was insanely hot, like I was burning up, and I've never felt that hot in my life. It felt like I was in a really, really hot sauna, only even hotter. And that went on for a few minutes, but then eventually I felt like I was getting rained on. I felt like raindrops hitting me, and where those raindrops hit me, like all over my body, it spread out, and there was just this cool feeling that washed over me. And after that, I started to feel my heart slow down. I felt like really swollen and inflamed everywhere, and I don't know if any of you have like felt your heartbeat inside of your head. I could feel that slow down, like inside of my head, my heartbeat, and eventually it just got slower and slower and slower as the minutes passed by, and I just felt colder and colder and colder, and eventually it felt like my heart just totally stopped, and right then, that's when I had a really crazy out-of-body experience. And this part is really hard to explain, and unless you've experienced this yourself, I don't know if you can really grasp what I'm saying, but I'll try my best. And after it felt like my heart stopped, I like left my body, and I was just a floating consciousness, and my consciousness was just floating from the ceiling, and I could see my body laying there in the hospital bed. And a little while after that, I floated up into space, and I just dissolved into everything, and it was as if I became all of existence, and I could see all of existence, and it wasn't like I was at a bird's eye view of everything. It was a lot different than that. It's so hard to describe, but I could just see all of existence, and I could feel it too. Planets, solar systems, stars, galaxies, they all felt like something I could feel and manipulate, and even like I could even see individual tiny particles and molecules, so I could see things from a macroscopic and a microscopic viewpoint, and I didn't have any sense of my own being. I wasn't like, I am Richard. I just felt like I am everything. I am all that exists, and I lost all sense of time. It felt like I was in that state for millions of years, and you know, eventually I came down, like, you know, back down to earth, and I was in my own normal state of mind again. And I've talked about being a sociopath before in a few of my own videos, and I brought it up in some interviews that I've had, and a lot of people are confused about why I really care about animals and about helping people if I lack empathy. And that out-of-body experience that I had in the hospital is really ultimately why I have this care and passion and try and do the most amount of good that I possibly can. When I was in that out-of-body state and I could feel like all of existence and I could manipulate anything I want, when I was manipulating things, I also felt like I was manipulating myself because I was everything. And from that experience, I just learned we're connected in ways that we can't even comprehend. We're really part of the same existence and the same consciousness, and what you put out into the world will really end up affecting you in the long run. So that's why I try and help people, that's why I try and help animals, that's why I want the best for everyone, even though, you know, I can just crawl inside myself a little bit too much sometimes and just really want to viciously hurt people and kill people. But that knowledge is still there that, you know, we really should try and do the best for everyone, and that out-of-body experience was really important for me, not only becoming vegan, but just becoming a better person and not becoming a crazy, insane serial killer, because that's the road I was really going down. I think the reason why there's such a resistance towards veganism, why people are willing to torture and kill animals and even torture and kill each other in bullshit wars, is because we don't have that understanding that we're all connected, and what we do and what we put out into the world ends up affecting us. And I really wish I could give everyone that same out-of-body experience that I had, so that people could have an understanding that they have a responsibility to do good for others and for themselves. And I really encourage any of you, if you're capable, to try and learn about meditation so that you can have a similar out-of-body experience. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me about this, but I think psilocybin mushrooms, DMT, and other drugs like that can really be beneficial in really helping us learn our place in the world. So that's all I have to share with you today. I just hope you try and elevate your mind to a higher state of consciousness that lets you see outside of yourself so you get a better understanding of your place in the world. And maybe even buy a Happy Healthy Vegan t-shirt, because these are actually really fucking awesome and comfortable. And always make some vegan gains.
Beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.